All right. Again, welcome everybody, and thank you for sharing. We're going to go to a slide here now. Um, Let me do this. Once I do this, I won't be able to see the room. So I'm going to ask Kim, can you, well, I guess I need to make you co-host first.
Yeah, what do you need me to do, Dave?
Just let
Just
people in.
Okay, yeah, make me co-host.
Okay. Let me go backwards then. I should have done that sooner. Sorry. I'll put you right to work as soon as you come back. So you
That's
are now
fine with me.
co-host. Thank you. And
Okay.
I'll go back to so just so that people know, these slides are not in chronological order. But you'll get a picture, get an idea of who we are, what we've done. Here's a little photo of us in the Unitarian Universalist Church. The young lady on the far right of your screen, sort of bending over, is Cynthia. She was our coordinator, and you can see some of the same people in the room. There's Tom in the back left corner, and you'll see more as we go on. Um, this is Tim Houchin, who was also at one point in time unhoused there in Santa Ana, was also part of an unhoused group called the Round Table. Tim is now housed. I haven't spoken with him for about 6 months or so. I'm hoping he's doing well. Um, there we have Mike Robbins, ironically. We just heard from Mike a little bit ago at the podium at the Board of Supervisors, looking in the eyes of now convicted felon Andrew Doe, who we addressed many, many times at Board of Supervisors because of how badly he was at voting against the unhoused, along with everybody else on that supervisors board. Um, an event we had here again in downtown Santa Ana uh, regarding um, homelessness. This was, I think, um, part of a march that we participated on, but we were also given some space, or we took some space so that we could again do a public education event and let people know that you know being housed is the humanitarian thing to do. It's also the economic thing to do for society. Plus, plus, plus. I'm probably preaching to the choir in this room, but nonetheless, we have been out there. Here you heard Brooke Weissman's name mentioned on the far right, an attorney with um, elder law and disability rights in Santa Ana. Um, Behind her, and anyway, I won't go through introducing everybody, but this was a press conference that we had because HHROC, full disclosure, was one of the plaintiffs filing suit against the county, along with, I think, Catholic workers and others. This was a press conference at the bus depot there in Anaheim. Through the Women's March, we participated also um, in numbers, quite frankly. There was you're only seeing just a few of who was there under the banner of housing as a human right, Orange County. Again, back in the Board of Supervisors in their old chambers, see the word help on the back of the T-shirt. We were uh, you can see all the white T-shirts up front, and I believe this was when we were started practicing reading the names of those who passed to the supervisors. They never wanted to hear it. Sean Nelson, Spitzer, and Andrew Doe, and Lisa Bartlett, and they all took turns getting up and leaving, going to the bathroom whenever we would show up to read the names, and they cut our time short from 3 minutes to less than that. Um, just one photo of part of the river trail and how the communities were surviving um, that were unhoused. They this is this is what they had. This is what they tried to do, and under the umbrella of the Angel Stadium. Um, a big reason why the city of Anaheim and the county wanted them removed is they they looked at this as a visual eyesore that needed to be removed. They did not look at it as though, oh my goodness, there's a population that needs help. What can we do? They looked at it in a derogatory way, not in a helpful way. Those that helped me to identify our elected officials as completely unqualified. Um, a little picnic we had a couple of few years ago. We're hoping to do this again. A little sort of a little fundraiser. We showed, I think, the Motel Kids, was it? Um, at the Unitarian Universalist Church there in Anaheim, uh, and talked about the unhoused. It was nicely participated in. We had a lot of people show up. It was great. In case you've never seen inside of one of the shelters, this is what the convicted felon Andrew Doe took credit for. He said that this was, sort of his idea to put people side by side, like sardines, and with no walls. So the rain could come in, the heat could come in, the wind could come in, and that somehow in his mind, this was good enough. This was the what they called the courtyard there across the street from the Board of Supervisors chambers there in Santa Ana. Duplicate picture, sorry. This is a collector's item. This was our first meeting document. It wasn't our first meeting, but this is how we did it. I made these up and we printed them out and handed them out, or we emailed people to let them know. This was our version of social media uh, back in the day. You'll see the date of 2018. We were using these just a little before, but this is all it was. Um, again, at the Board of Supervisors, thanks to uh, Mike Robbins and Janine Robbins. They thought up the idea of the everybody wearing the yellow T-shirts, and Mike donated a whole bunch of yellow T-shirts, bought some T-shirts for everybody, and we uh, we wrote on them with marks a lots, because we didn't have time to go out and have them printed up or the funds. So we did what we could to identify who we are and what we're here about. This is the meeting room where we ordinarily would meet. This is where HHROC was born, in this room, along with People's Homeless Task Force, Orange County, and the Summer of the People. You'll see on the far right side, it's Assemblywoman Sharon Quirk Silva that attended our meeting to talk to us about housing at this time. And even back then, she brought it to our attention that the county leaves money on the table, that there were state grants available, federal grants available, things of that sort, but Orange County never applied for them. to help the unhoused. Her reasoning was that if they once they receive that money, then they have to do something with it, and the county didn't want to obviously do anything. Um, just to show we were there back in 19 at the Women's March. You saw a little bit of that before. Uh, that's that's it for that. Um, Now we'll go ahead and start. I'm hoping to stop. Does the share windows closed? I said okay, and we're going to start with our real presentation, which is 2025 2025 and who we are, what we did in 2025. And little disclaimer, I will apologize in advance. There's maybe 95 plus percent of all of the photos and things that you're going to see actually were in 2025. Sometimes there wasn't maybe a photo that would coincide with a document or something. So I went back to something that was applicable to sort of help fill in. And okay, here we go. Hope you have your favorite drink and you're ready to go. Up, Janine Robbins. I saw that. I just let her in. Glad she's here. Want to start off with a very special thank you to our fiscal sponsor, which is OCO, and our generous grantor, the California Endowment. Let me see if I can minimize this little window here. Thank you. And again, uh, Housing is a Human Right really wants to thank everyone for sharing, your valuable time, your friendship, your participation, and your advocacy. Here's just a short list of the people in 2025, as well as the names of the groups prior to that that got us to where we are today. And thank you to all of you. And if what I don't have on here, obviously, are individual names, it would the list would be endless. There. So I'm inviting everybody to revisit the the website. I just want to let you know that on the website, it's been updated with our new mission statement, our new vision statement, um, our diversity, equity, and inclusion policy, our values statement, and soon, it hasn't been posted on the website yet, will be our community guidelines. They're being simplified a little bit, but we don't plan on going anywhere. So please refer to these. I think they're going to be you'll be quite happy with them. A lot of people went into as I'm sure Eve could verify, talking about these and changing a word or not arguing, but nonetheless making sure that this is the last time we need to do it, unless something critical changes. So please visit the website. 2025 year in review. I keep promising to get started, so here we go. It's just some of the logos that we've used over the year to recognize who we are. And on January 4th, we started the year at Judy's Kitchen, and you could see a little bit of what we prepared on the menu. Tom, myself, and Stephanie, and others. I don't remember if you were there, John. Um, we cooked breakfast at Judy's Kitchen at a church in Los Alamitos, or we did. I'll get to that a little later. Um, January 14th, an op-ed that I wrote came out, and ironically, it stays on task of following what our mission is. It's a message to the Orange County Board of Supervisors and letting them know Housing first saves lives. Then on the 28th of January, collectively, we went to the Board of Supervisors again to say their names, the names of those who died without abode while trying to survive living on the streets of Orange County. Um, Here we are inside chambers. You can see Janet Nguyen doesn't really care on the far right side, not paying attention. Sarmiento, Chafee. We've got Katrina Foley looking down and Wagner looking down. Again, these are people who many times don't want to be bothered by the fact that people are dying on the streets. So Judy's Kitchen, the first Saturday of every month, is when we used to go and prepare breakfast um, to give out to, in this particular case, many of the seniors who are food challenged that lived nearby, and some of the people on the streets. If we made enough, then Tom and others would take those meals out to the streets where people would have them. Um, this is the date will be on the next slide. Uh, Rhonda and I attended in Irvine an event called the Path Ahead Orange County Roadmap to Equity. It was hosted by the grant makers. Taryn Palumbo, by the way, is running for supervisor. This is February 6th. Um, is going to be running for Orange County supervisor. No, I lied, not supervisor. Huntington Beach City Council. So please correct that in your mind. Forget I said supervisor. Huntington Beach City Council, the most MAGA council probably in Orange County. And uh, my own political comment is she would be a great addition to the city. Here's a little bit of what the room looked like. It was packed. And in the room, there were several nonprofits, some service providers, some businesses, et cetera, et cetera. Dr. Manuel Pastor was the primary speaker, talked about the diversity population, housing affordability, economic. You can read it. And one of the things that, if I could synthesize and highlight for you, that came to mind is HHROC is really fighting an uphill battle. And I know I'm preaching to the choir in the room, but the system for housing and how people get into housing, this is not new. You've heard of redlining, you've heard of um, discrimination practices in housing and discrimination practices in hiring. Things of that sort. Well, all of those unfortunate criminal ideas, my words, contribute greatly to why people can't be homeowners, and that has for decades. So, to Marie's point, we have businesses that are, buying homes only to sell them to the highest bidder. But where does that leave the workforce? Where does that leave the young family? Where does that leave the people, the other part of the population that really needs homes, or the part of the population that has trouble getting a high paying job because they're not recognized as being the correct ethnicity or something of that sort, which we know still continues today. So this was a great um, thing to put on. Unfortunately, there was just no real resolve, on how to combat it. The bottom front, Rhonda and I had great seats up front, so we were able to take it all in. Then on February 10th, we participated uh, in a Zoom meeting with Supervisor Sarmiento. The panel you see on the left are attorneys, civil rights attorneys, immigration attorneys, trying to explain to us, what some of the challenges were, because we know that under this administration and with ICE in town, that many of the breadwinners were being were being arrested and deported, which left their families or others again without a way to keep their homes. So this was very important to us. Um, we can't just look out for those people who who weren't going to be deported. HHROC knows that every human being that is in a home should be allowed to stay in a home. And more importantly, everybody who needs a home should be provided in some way, shape, fashion, or form. A permanent home, not a shelter, not a tent. I mean, a permanent home. On the 11th, moving right along, we are at the supervisors again. Um, this time, I think we're talking to them about um, supporting funds for the domestic workers that were up on the agenda because they're really, my words, taken advantage of in the work that they do, taking care of people who have the means, but somehow they don't get paid enough. Um, and we were in support of that as as well, not in support of them not being paid enough, but we wanted to support them for the raises, um, and of course housing. And this was the date was actually February 12th. Excuse the 14th, but was hoping Alice could remember or tell us where this was being held at because I couldn't find my notes. Alice, do you remember?
It was Orangewood, the Orangewood housing, or not housing, um, what is it? It houses teens and works with young people who are unhoused as well as finding them jobs, etc. And of course, Sharon was with me, and we presented some of our information related to the longest night and also just general information on who we are as HHROC. It was put on by the United Way, and so the United Way helped us have this table there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for refreshing. And I'm going to try and move along here. Oh, we have Janine Robbins. She's in the room also. Um, Attended an event at Accord. Janine was there representing People's Homeless Task Force and Housing is a Human Right, OC. Janine, are you on mute? Can you come off mute? Maybe not. Okay. We'll come back maybe if we get time. Um, Janine is certainly one of the co-founders of Housing is a Human Right, and does a big part of helping to support People's Homeless Task Force, Orange County as well. Um, February 18th, City of San Clemente. We see Rhonda in the background. We have Patty and Maura at the podium. talking about the city wanted to regulate and make it criminal for people to share food in the city. So that's why we had some advocates there to tell the city to grow a brain, that should not be unlawful to share food for people who needed it. Um, on February 26th, and then again on July 24th, John Underwood's op-eds, procession of the names, and then one small win for the street, where he writes an article about one of the other housing as a human right, um, unhoused individuals that many of us in this room know, Patrick Hogan, who was successful suing, I think it was Caltrans or uh, the state for the way he was treated. Um, March 13th, June 17th, Tom Fielder, a couple of op-eds here with Voice of OC as well, talking to Supervisor Foley. We need to talk because of things that she was saying to the public that and then finding out that she was telling the public something else later on. Um, and then again on the bottom right, about the budget and the way the budget survey was written. Um, and to we have tomorrow the Orange County Sheriff's Truth Act. Here's just a picture of a few of the people that attended at Board of Supervisors. We see Sean and Rebecca and Felicity and Roberto, and so we really need to be there tomorrow. We'll come to that in a little bit. We just left the Great American Write-In. Last year was on the 29th. A picture of some of the postcards uh, that we did. Tom sent us these photos. He represented HHROC at El Centro Cultura de Mexico on May 1st last year. Um, this was a flyer for one of our Monday meetings. We were going to be learning a little bit more about the budget. We knew so little that we even got the amount um, wrong, or that's what it was in 2025, 9.5, which is now 10.8 billion. Uh, on this particular workshop day on June 4th, Alice and I attended Sarmiento's budget workshop. The lady on the far right, thank goodness, is retiring. She took over as CEO of the county after Frank Kim left. Um, Cynthia Geary, I think, um, but she's retiring. She couldn't answer some of the questions that were asked, so obviously not qualified to be CFO for the county, as the questions were simple. And here we are on Saturday, June 7th. Unbeknownst to us, this was the last day of Judy's Kitchen. After this day, um, we were not invited back after, uh, was it Tom, like 7 years that we were cooking breakfast on Saturdays.
Yeah, close to that.
Yeah, almost 7 years of cooking breakfast on Saturdays. Um, the church that where Judy's Kitchen was located had a change of management, if you will, and they no longer allowed us to prepare meals not only for their own congregation, but for the residents outside the congregation. They wanted everybody to come into the church to eat, which we used to do as well, but they would no longer support us preparing meals to take out to the people who are hungry on the streets. That doesn't comply with housing as a human right in our thinking. We know that there's a population that is going hungry as a result. Things did not go well, and this was our last day at Judy's Kitchen. June 9th, again, a Monday meeting. We learned a lot from Civilytics about the Orange County budget because they're the ones who reviewed and reported it. This was on August 11th, and I know we are going to be running overtime, so I can't show it, but Swept was a video. Eve, do you have a brief moment to describe this?
Yeah, sure. So, Swept is it we thought it was Emmy award winning, but it was actually Emmy nominated. So, but still, that's quite an honor. So this was a documentary, about a 15-minute documentary. It's available online. You can find it. So watch it at your leisure. It's definitely one of the best films I've ever seen on the houselessness crisis. It focuses on the community of unhoused people in Los Angeles, as well as advocates and leaders within the unhoused community. And the first part of the documentary is about being quote unquote swept. It's about housing displacements, which we know a lot about those also in Orange County, but just how violent they are and how violent and inhumane these displacements are and how they're meant to just erase people who aren't going away. And then the second half of the film is about the benefits of being housed. So it's definitely a film that I appreciated, and I know HHRC members did as well, or volunteers did as well.
Thank you, Eve. On August 17th, National Nonprofit Day, HHROC sent this out using our social media as to thank our fiscal sponsor and our grantor for their help and support. August 25th, we had Norberto Santana as a guest speaker, came to talk to us about the importance of op-eds and what we do, and it was again a great meeting. Then on September 20th, many of us in the room, we attended the Peacemakers of the Year Award put on by Orange County Peace Coalition and the Concerned Citizens of Laguna Woods. And in the room, ironically, is, we have Roberto and Lulu, for those of you who remember, was really has done a lot for and with HHROC. And we have Haley Soto, who's here in Anaheim. We discovered her and her great work while going to the Untold bookstore because of Liz Gracian. But that's a whole different subject later on. She's just part of an amazing group of high school students that has done phenomenal work. And talk about food share. The picture on the right happens to be a Wednesday food share. And we have Mike and Janine. It's at their home. where we plate those 200 plus meals. I'm I'm not I'm not always there as often as I'd like to be. Um, and then on the far left, we used to do food share. We used to do food share in at La Palma Park, um, and take hot meals to the people there. And up on the upper left was a check-in center that was that was there for people a long time ago when the city used to store some of their belongings. They used to actually do something decent and store some of their belongings for them. And we provided, many of us provided food for them. On the 25th, a group of us met with Sandy Chang, senior program manager at Flappy Jack's Pancake House, where she got a chance to meet, um, a handful of people who are part of HHRLC and a lot of the network of people that HHRLC also participates with, things of that sort. And that's when we got some pretty good news about funding. So we're keeping fingers crossed that that keeps coming. It's not $1 million, but it helps pay for printing. It helps pay for a few things here and there as the year goes on. Um, because we got kicked out of Judy's kitchen, that's my words. One of the things that we had to do, because the storage container where we used to use their storage container there at Judy's kitchen at that church, because we paid, I think it was $1,000 to be able to use it, was no longer available to us. They locked us out, but they let us take all of our things. Um, but in the meantime, we were donated a container, a shorter container, but nonetheless, we were donated a container. And through the help of community leaders, um, the storage container was relocated to Set Free Church in Anaheim. Uh, um, so Bill Taramina was the one who helped us to go ahead and move the storage container from Santa Ana to this church location. We're there for a few more months, but we're going to need to find a new home for it in the next few months, I think, because the whole properties, as I understand, it's going to be redeveloped. Um, October 18th, we're almost done. We're at the park for No King's Day, um, sharing again our postcards, talking to people about housing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It was such a great event, very, very well attended by the community here in Santa Ana. This was in Santa Ana. You can tell by the crowds on the right, um, and Tom talking to people, and even the dog had a sign, but I can't read it. Again, went to one of Sarmiento's workshop, our housing summit. I think Don Underwood and I were there. Um, very mixed emotions, but the end result was okay. It was nice. He talked about it. He brought it to the attention of people, but what he was offering, I think, was sad. At least from what I saw. You can see a picture on the right hand side of the room, the bed, but this particular um, modular, uh, there's no restroom, so it's just a very nice walk-in closet that happens to have a desk and a bed, and somehow that's okay. Um, the one on the bottom left uh, did, I believe, have a restroom, a bed, a small couch, and a desk. But it's ironic. You see the steps and it's ironic that we have a lady with a walker who we see many times on the streets, that people are disabled, and how would they even get in to a modular unit like this? On November 10th, again from Oko, guest speaker talked to us about unconditional belonging. Really did a great job, and I'm hoping we learn more about this um, in the future. I'm hoping he does. Uh, he gives some more presentations. Um, Here's a little bit of what the wording that he's recommended, or we could use as sampling. For example, we affirm that housing is not a privilege; it's a human right and a form of health care. Stable housing is essential to physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Without it, people are exposed to trauma, illness, and early death, harms that ripple across families and communities. When we ensure that everyone has a home, we are investing in collective healing, dignity, and safety. Just to mention a few. And here in October, it's when we really gear up and start preparing for National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness and National Homeless Persons Memorial, meaning the longest night. We start in October for this. Um, we've got food bank donations, the QR code on the left. Thanks to Tom, he arranged for people to be able to donate um, directly to the food bank via or under the HHROC's name, so we were at least, and People's Homeless Task Force was recognized. We also started getting some of our flyers and yard signs made up in Spanish, because so many of the population are not, you know, their Spanish is their native language, and so we needed them to understand, you know, what we know about housing as well. Our banner was changed to identify the fact that uh, the Orange County Sheriff Coroner uh, significant, significantly underreports the deaths of those people without abode, the people who die in hospitals, shelters, jail, supportive and transitional housing, or whose bodies were claimed by family. All of those people are not identified when the sheriff coroner puts out the numbers. So if he says 500 died that year, we know it's a lot more. And again, the same signs in Spanish. We redid our signs, our orange signs here to again update and more clearly represent who HHROC is. And again, doing this in Spanish um, was very well received for those people who wanted signs to put in their yards. This is great. I'm glad we did this. I hope we do more languages in the future. Black Friday, November 28th. Um, we went to Tustin Marketplace. This photo on the right-hand side was from the previous year, but it's such a great photo with Sean and the flags that Tom created to represent the over 500 who died that year. You can see how the flags occupied the corner there on Jamboree and El Camino Real, I think is the name of the street there at Tustin Marketplace, along with other individuals that were carrying signs up and down the sidewalks. We got a lot of honks, and this was again Black Friday, so there was plenty of traffic and plenty of awareness by the people who were walking by. and driving by. Uh, Father Dennis Chris, every month writes an op-ed, submits it to the Board of Supervisors, letting the public know how many people died that month. These are all of his reports. He does such a great job, and all for the wrong reasons. I mean, there shouldn't be reports like that needed. And every month, on the second Tuesday of the month at 12:15, he reads the names along with whoever can attend virtually, via Zoom. He reads the names of those who died the previous month. Um, and on this December 8th, we're almost at year end. We see Janine sort of hiding, sitting next to Rebecca. We're at the untold story, and we all shared stories, quite frankly, on um, our experiences with food scarcity in the county and housing at the untold story. Coming into December 21st, which is the longest night, um, we asked people to join via Zoom to witness and remember those who passed. And we also asked people to join us in person at the Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church in Costa Mesa to read the names, to say the names of all those who died, and to share a story if they had it. So this was the flyer that was on screen through the longest night. We're already over time, but this is just gives a on the upper right hand corner. You'll see people reading the names, things of that sort of those who passed.
I don't see anything.
Okay, so let me go back here real quickly. Sorry. I'm stuck. I broke my own. I broke my own PowerPoint. Let me see if I can fix it real quick.
Dave, while you're working on that, I wanted to mention that this Sunday, we're hosting a budget workshop focused on city budgets, and it'll be in Huntington Beach. Alice and I are going to be there in person, but there is also an offering of a virtual link. It's 2:30 to 4:45. Hannah will be the presenter, and we're really hoping that folks would be able to attend online. Huntington Beach will be the focus, and they're about the worst city you can think of for examples of how not to do things. Although Hannah says their budget's fairly transparent, but Hannah will also be talking about Irvine and one other city to kind of compare and contrast how cities go about it. But we've talked about looking at cities, and this is a great opportunity. We had supported them meeting up with Hannah, and they took it a step further and are now hosting this open workshop with the hopes of more. But this will be very introductory, not very introductory. She did a great job. She did a run through with the group, and I learned a lot, and I'm hoping others will consider attending. So thank you, Dave.
Okay, thank you. And again, this is the church where we gathered in person to read the names. Pat, do you remember about how many people we had? We had about 25, 30 or more.
Between online and in the room, I thought we had about 60 actually.
Yeah, okay, all right,
And that included the readers, but that's part of the community. So
right,
it
thank
was
you.
wonderfully attended. Thank you.
So you can see a little bit inside the church where the names were read or spoken. A little bit on the outside of how they displayed the purple flags. And we're finishing up with just some locations that have displayed our purple flags. Again, to remember those who passed, who are trying to survive living on the streets in Orange County without a home. If you would like or know of somebody who you think would like to host a purple flag display this year, that's what the QR code is for. If you want to use your phone to fill out the form or at least save the link, you can go to it later. Thank you.
Woohoo! That's a
Wonderful job, Dave.
Thank you.
that's a lot of work. And if you see
Kidding.
holes in it, throw in some pictures because as he was talking, I know he was thinking of other things, but that's a lot. And we have a busy year. We continue to stay busy, and